I'm a little too old to be playing Hardy Boys meet Reverend Werewolf.
The Bible tells us not to fear the terror that creepeth by night, or that which flieth by noonday. And yet we do. We do.
What changed? You're trembling.
Because there's so much we don't know, and we feel very small.
Imagine, if you will, just for a second, daring to make a film that is about a well-known and beloved monster. Add to that weight the fact that in 1981 alone, we had 3 fantastic and varied depictions of the beast: An American Werewolf in London, The Howling, and the criminally underrated Wolfen.
A force so deadly, it will tear the scream from your throat.
There's not a trace, not a speck of metal. Nothing softer could have ripped and ravaged like this.
Is it an animal?
Well, it ain't human.
You are the savage. Wolfen.
If you want to go a step further, then also be aware that you're adapting a Stephen King story that blends horror with coming-of-age themes, and now you're really shining past a task that could surely bring a filmmaker nothing but misery. 1985 saw the release of Stephen King's Silver Bullet, starring Gary Busey, Everett McGill, and the late Corey Haim. A film that somehow did something even more unusual than the werewolf films before it, or even since. The question is, would that be enough to make fans love it, or will they howl at the moon in disappointment? Let's get down to brass tacks. In this Why You Hate video, and by the way, I've done several episodes of films that sometimes divides the fan base. Check them out if you haven't already. Or if you need some fun and a good horror discussion, check them out again. It's not going to hurt. I promise.
Holy jumped up bald-headed Jesus Palomino!
Also, if you would personally like to help me decide on films for new episodes and much more while supporting this channel and community, join our channel membership program by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button. It's a member perk for our movie fanatics level and above. You know you're a movie fanatic. We all are. So as I was saying, I'm going to go over reasons why some fans have issues with Silver Bullet, including multiple things that I know will be a strong debate in this community for the lovers of this film and the detractors of it. I will also attempt, if at all possible, to show how some issues might not hold as much weight as they seem. We'll also be talking about the history of the film. So get ready to antagonize your older sister, shoot off rockets in the dead of the night, battle a baseball bat-wielding werewolf, and race your buddies on a souped-up wheelchair. Here are the reasons why you hate Silver Bullet. Number 1. Director chaos and marketing. This film is the 10th Stephen King film adaptation, and it's the 9th adaptation released in the 80s. Daniel Attias was given the job to direct, and he is known for TV work on different shows like The Sopranos and Homeland. Renowned filmmaker Richard Donner, known for movies such as Superman and The Goonies, served as the producer of Silver Bullet. What I found most interesting was that originally Don Coscarelli, who's the director of the Phantasm franchise, was scheduled to direct, but left over creative differences with Dino De Laurentiis. Let's dive deeper into that. Don Coscarelli was originally going to direct, but he explained, quote, "I worked on a project that I didn't ultimately direct. It was a Stephen King story, Cycle of the Werewolf. I had made this movie, The Beastmaster, and for some reason, this Italian movie producer, Dino De Laurentiis, seized on it that I would be the heir to direct the Conan series. He wanted me to direct Conan Part 2.
Inconceivable!
Unfortunately, they gave me a screenplay that I just didn't get at all. And I had just made The Beastmaster.
This way.
But if we show no fear, we might escape.
I just couldn't in good conscience see how I could go to Mexico for months and make another sword and sorcery film without a script that I felt good about. So I turned down Dino De Laurentiis, which I think it had an effect on him. Because within a month, he came back and he said, "I've got this Stephen King book. I want you to read it." And I read it. The problem was, it wasn't a book, it was actually a calendar at the time. The story, though, was right up my alley, so there was no screenplay. Stephen was not available to write the screenplay, so I had to do an adaptation of the calendar and turn it into a screenplay. There were major adaptation problems that we were struggling with. One day, Stephen came to New York. It was the one time I got to meet him. He was such a nice guy, not what you'd expect. He sat there and listened to me just prattle on about the issues. He said, "I don't have time to write it, but I'll think about it." And so King went away. One day I got the word that Stephen had sent some notes. There were 3 single-spaced pages of notes. He answered every problem, everything. So we go in to have a meeting with Dino De Laurentiis. He didn't get it, didn't want it. After that, I ended up leaving the project. Perhaps some things just aren't meant to be. End quote.
And you blew it! You blew it!
One of Don Coscarelli's contributions before leaving the project, though, was to frame the film in the manner of Steven Spielberg's Jaws from 1975. In my personal opinion, that was a smart move, and you can see that it is patterned after Jaws. I also would have wondered what it would have been like to have Coscarelli's involvement as a director, because I feel as though he brings a lot of great qualities to his films, including great tension, paranoia, horror, and of course, atmosphere. Attias did an admirable job, though, with many scenes of the film that gave it a sense of charm that is very endearing. During the scene where Marty is about to go home with Jane after flying his kite, he asks Brady if he's coming with him. Brady responds, "In a while." Marty then curiously looks at him for a little while. This shows Marty had a feeling inside that this will be the last time he'll see his friend alive. The direction given in this scene is quite simple, yet very powerful, powerful beyond explanation. You feel the emotion of the moment. And this is a credit to the filmmakers, and Attias did do a great job with it. In Cycle of the Werewolf, the story on which this film is based, the events take place over the course of a year. A murder was committed by the werewolf once a month. In the film, the murders occurred over the course of several months, from spring to autumn. With that being said, unfortunately, Silver Bullet suffered from poor marketing by the studios, specifically a series of uninspired posters. But the film, with a budget of $7 million, initially made $4 million upon its release, eventually earning over $12 million at the box office. Number 2, setting and characters. Tarker's Mills, where the action takes place, is a fictional town, of course, but it is still within the Stephen King universe. It borders locations of other King's works also adapted to film, such as Chester's Mill from Under the Dome, Derry from It, Castle Rock from Needful Things, Cujo, and Pet Sematary, among others. John Candy was considered to play Uncle Red originally, and also Jennifer Connelly was considered for the character of Jane, but she was already busy in Italy working on Dario Argento's Phenomena. The late Corey Haim stars as Marty, a handicapped young boy who is destined to solve the mystery of the killings in the town, and also destined to command the coolest souped-up racing wheelchair vehicle that you've ever seen in your life. The movie works because Haim's charisma is undeniable, even at such a young age and before he was a star. The curious boy with a great imagination and the kind of guts that most grown-ups would wish for. That's what he was, straight up. He stared right into the eyes of the villain multiple times in the film, and he didn't fall off the cliff. Megan Follows plays Marty's sister Jane. The chemistry that the two young actors had as siblings is probably the most important glue this film has. If it doesn't work, then Silver Bullet doesn't work. She cares for and loves Marty, even though he at times antagonizes her. But they're real as a brother and sister, and that's the most important part. When I watch this film, I can feel their connection, and it reminds me of the relationship I have with my own brother. All of that being said, Uncle Red is an absolute fan favorite character, played wonderfully by Gary Busey. He portrayed a flawed uncle who still was able to show so much love to Marty. It was a close and loving relationship that they had. Red didn't see Marty as a handicapped kid who had limitations. He saw everything that Marty could accomplish in his life despite needing a wheelchair. And sure as shit, he was right. Marty did do something special in solving the mystery that no one could and putting an end to the wolf. Some may say Busey played the character over the top, and I can understand that, but in my estimation, he played it as real as it gets. At a personal appearance in North Hollywood, California, in the fall of 1999, Gary Busey discussed his experiences in making the film, which ranged from so many scenes, including the fact that his reaction to the werewolf at the end breaking through the wall was actually genuine because there was no rehearsal of that scene and it was completed in a single take. Everett McGill is one of those actors that has a presence that can be felt through his performance easily. His depiction of Reverend Lowe and his struggle with the beast inside was quite interesting. I will say though, the downside is that they didn't go as deep into that as they could have. I really wanted to see more of this struggle. It really seemed as though Reverend Lowe didn't want to be a beast. The church nightmare scene was a standout and a big sign that Lowe is the werewolf. A small town like Tarker's Mills provides the close-knit community for these characters. Many Stephen King stories take place in these types of settings, giving the viewer a way to be more intimate with what's going on, a way to be in the POV of the characters, a way to feel what they feel and to ignite their imagination. It's a strength of the film to many, and I am firmly in that boat. Number 3, mystery. What is this killer? And then, who is the werewolf? The central questions of Silver Bullet that plays out for quite a bit in the runtime. Lowe was the face of faith and righteousness, which of course is what makes his true nature a memorable plot of the movie. The fact that the kids had to deal with it and win over their uncle's help made for an extra layer to this coming-of-age story, just like other films such as Stand By Me and The Goonies. When Red questions the culprit's supposed being a werewolf by pointing out that there wasn't a full moon when Marty was attacked, Marty and Jane theorize that while the stories say that werewolves turn during the full moon, this werewolf may perhaps turn whenever he likes. The werewolf also targets a very specific woman in her own home and breaks in to murder her there, which is uncharacteristic of most werewolves, who in both mythology and other works of modern fiction keep to themselves for the most part and only attack those who enter into their territory. Number 4, attacks and kills. Many people might look at the attacks or the kills as a downside of Silver Bullet, but keep these things in mind. The body count in the film was actually 9, and surprisingly, it does have a good amount of gore and viciousness. When the werewolf attacks Stella Randolph, played by Wendy Walker, the unwed pregnant lady, in her bedroom, the wolf snarl from An American Werewolf in London from 1981 can be heard. All that said, this was a great kill that was vicious and well shot. There were parts of it that were quite extreme, especially for a Stephen King story centered on a young boy. The werewolf kills 2 people with the Peacemaker baseball bat, Mr. Knopfler during the vigilante hunting party, and then Sheriff Joe Holler. Both of these scenes were great, and they were both memorable. The fog during the vigilante hunt was creepy, and it kept you on the edge of your seat, very atmospheric, and one of the things that I remember most about this film. The sheriff kill showed some of Lowe's transformation, good practical work. I must say that I wish I had seen more of it because I think that it was so good that it should have been showed much more throughout the film. Number 5, the bear wolf. Okay, people, this is the moment of truth. Take your coats off and get comfortable. We have to address the elephant, or rather, the bear wolf in the room. Unfortunately, there is a lot left to be desired in the depiction and the look of the werewolf. It's truly an interesting and monumental travesty when broken down.
Here. We're fine. It is not in the file. It is not. You son of a bitch!
First mistake made was not realizing that the werewolf is a huge star of this movie. The image of the wolf, the scenes, etc. would and did live large in the memories of viewers. Second mistake, shooting started without a proper werewolf suit. How does that happen? It is a snapshot of the short-sightedness on the part of everyone involved, in my opinion. Silver Bullet is about a werewolf. How do we start shooting without the werewolf? Add to the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, the 80s had iconic werewolf films, and to step into this particular horror arena is to court high expectations. Some might even say impossible expectations. Third mistake, Stephen King asked for the werewolf to be plain and hard to see, in contrast to the hulking monsters seen in other werewolf films and books in the early to mid-1980s, with the result being a creature which looked more like a black bear because the werewolf costume was covered in actual black bear hair to make it blend in more. The entire costume was made of foam and polyurethane. The head of the costume was mechanically operated by 6 people from a distance of up to 30 feet away. After seeing Carlo Rambaldi's design, per King's request, producer Dino De Laurentiis was very unhappy with and demanded a change, which both King and Rambaldi refused. When pressured to either cancel the film or accept the design, De Laurentiis relented. Complete construction of the werewolf costume took 3 months. Number 6, finale. The final battle of Uncle Red, Jane, and Marty against Lowe was built up throughout the 3rd act. The silver bullet was created as a weapon to kill the beast. The race was on to win or to lose, but wait, because it's about to get worse. It was a waiting game for the family, and then the bear wolf shows up in full bear glory.
And you blew it! You blew it!
Lowe is in full villain mode, and he knows it. The fight had some good moments though, most notably Red being thrown around the room multiple times. That was really Gary Busey hitting the breakaway furniture and also getting a small injury with the glass. In other words, Busey was doing the dirty work with pride. Shout out to the effort, bro. The downside to all of this cool shit is that the fight was way too quick. They didn't show the wolf much at all. I think this was the wrong choice. You have to see the wolf even if it's just a few scenes where he is in clear view, not a 2-second shot half a dozen times throughout an entire film. Come on folks, we are competing with The Howling and An American Werewolf in London, for God's sake. Anyway, back to this quick finale that is faster than a visual shot of the werewolf itself. Marty finds the silver bullet in the vent and then loads it in the gun, and then bam, straight shot into Lowe's other eye. Bullseye, Marty, or should I say, bear's eye. He's dead, period. Lowe's transformation back to human was actually well done, and it should have been more explored in the opposite way. I'm just saying. At the end of the day, Silver Bullet stalked horror fans like Reverend Lowe after a passionate sermon that gets him attacked by 1,000 werewolves, and we as fans must deal with it in our own way. You have to ask yourself, did this film live up to the expectations of what a werewolf movie is, or did it fall dark in the moonlight? That is a question only you can answer. As always, this video is not here to make you love Silver Bullet or to hate it. It's simply a discussion to highlight the history and aspects of it with you, the viewer. So what do you think? Are you a fan of Silver Bullet? If so, tell us why. If not, let's discuss why you hate Silver Bullet. If you haven't hit the like button for more content, please do. If you're not subscribed to the Nightwatch Zone, this is the time to do it. Do it and become part of this fantastic movie community where you'll never love and talk about movies the same. If you like this video, check out my other Why You Hate videos and other content here, and I'll see you there. As always, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.